Welcome back, guys, to Daily Driving Hoopties. This is my 1991 Caprice Classic LTZ. So this car, it doesn't really have a lot of value at all. I've kind of taken it and made it the best car that it could be without spending a lot of money on it. I do want to get it painted, and if someday I do want to spend some money on it and do something crazy, I'd like to put a big block with like a 5-speed in it. I think that would be really cool. But other than that, this car is just a really plain stock 1991 Caprice. You can see back there we have a good old friend ported on board. He hangs out back there. This is his car. He holds it down. But this is the 1991 Caprice, guys. So how we got this car, I did not really buy this car to have it for me. In 2000 and probably late 2004, maybe early 03, I don't know, somewhere between 03 and 04, we actually purchased this car for my aunt, so my great aunt. So she had a really cool B body, and it's one of the only cars that I really kind of kick myself for getting rid of. I'll put a picture of it up in the corner here and just show you. But it was a 1985 Pontiac Parisian. Just a really kind of rare, goofy, weird car that you don't see a lot of. But anyways, as for the car, that car was a stripper model. If I get another, I'd like to get another one, but I'd like to get one with like more options. That car had like crank windows. It didn't even have a cassette player. It was really that bad. But as for this car was actually quite the opposite. This car was loaded to the gills with all of the options. So in 1991, this Caprice was the MSRP on it was $18,470. It's quite a bit of money. I mean, a Corvette cost you $32,000 was the MSRP on a Corvette in 1991. So it was quite a bit more. But as for this car, it had almost all the options. It was the LTZ. It had the nice cushy seats. I don't know if they had anything other than the bench seat in 1991. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the thing has the 60-40 bench split. So I got 60. That person has 40. Just a regular seat over here. So I got the oversized recliner on this side essentially. But this car is so comfortable, guys. It is incredible. I love road tripping in this car. I used to drive it between SoCal and NorCal. Like I said, this was actually the first car I drove in Northern California when I was in college up in Sonoma State. I took this car up there in late 2007, and I drove it up there all the way up until probably mid-09, which is when I gave it to my grandpa. And my grandpa drove this thing from like 09 till he passed away, and I think it was 13 or 14. So then it kind of sat for a little while and needed a fuel pump and needed some love. And I gave it all the love, and here we are back, and we are daily driving hoopties, and ironically this is my least hoopty in the hoopty fleet. So everything works in this thing other than the tach. The tachometer has a little resistor. I think it's a resistor issue or something. Whatever signal it's receiving, it's thinking we're idling at like 4,600 RPM right now. But obviously we're not. We're only idling at like maybe 800 to 900 RPM. But that's the only thing that's kind of messed up in this car. Other than paint, it needs paint really badly. I'd like to get it painted, or if someone knows a good body shop, let me know. Put it down in the comments, because I'd love to get this car done up in kind of like a tritone setup. I have it drawn out in my head. I couldn't draw it out on a car, I guess, if I had a stencil and did all that. But other than that, the big block in this car, I don't really want to go too crazy. Just a 396 with a 5-speed and a white ball. That would be the most insane I get with it. Other than that, this thing's just a really cool example of what they were trying to do with the big cars. I mean, This was the last rendition of the Caprice in the U.S. until it came back as the PPV, the police pursuit vehicle, in like I think it was 07, 08. So I mean, we had a hiatus for a good 10, 15 years of the Caprice badge here in the U.S. But this car, it was she's a quality beast here. So in 1991, this thing was rated at a whopping 170 horsepower out of its 305. That's right, guys, 170 horsepower. I'm probably still sitting at 170 horsepower, I think. So we put a Flowmaster on it. The old muffler just rotted out of it. Driving in Mexico was rough for this car in that time. I don't know what happened, but just things happened in Mexico, and oof. The only car that I can imagine that's seen scarier things that we know about is Huvi and Tavares's freaking Bentley that was driving around in Russia. That car's seen a sketchier life. But this car was down in Tijuana, and it lived down there for a good 3 years of its life, because my grandpa actually lived in Rosarito Beach. So this car traversed between Tijuana, Ensenada, and wherever it went down in Mexico doing whatever it did. Let me tell you, it was filthy when I got it back. So we've pressure washed it. We've cleaned it up. The inside of it's relatively clean. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not the cleanest, but I mean, it's pretty nice. Seats are all in pretty good condition. Let me give you a look at the dash here. But like I said, it is an LTZ, so it has this really cool dash that has a tachometer that idles at 4,600 or 4,700 RPM. The digital speedometer, which is a little goofy, but I do have a temp gauge, a volt gauge, a fuel gauge, and an oil pressure gauge, which is really nice. And they give you all those things as an analog gauge. The only thing I hate about this car is somebody changed the radio in it, and it drives me nuts. It's just like, why would you change that? You guys are too far away. I'm gonna put you guys back like that. So I do have also good news. This is the last episode we're gonna be doing on my iPhone. So let's be happy about that. I got all the GoPro stuff out. I've got it charged up. It looks like it's all working. So next episode we're gonna do on the GoPros. But as for this car, the custom things that I've done. So I have changed this steering wheel because the old steering wheel was getting oozy and sticky, and the 90s ones are even worse than the 70s ones because they start to ooze the black, and then it just turns into the wire with the wrap, and it's really gross and bad, and just, yeah, throw those steering wheels away. So what I've done is I actually went and got this wheel. The only thing I don't really like about it, I only paid $100 for it with the hub and everything, and it's not horrible. It's not the worst wheel. I do hate that this is metal back here. Here in Southern California, it gets really freaking hot, and if you want to brand yourself, just grab this bad boy right here, and you'll definitely feel that for the next couple of days. It's warm, and it's not a big enough diameter. That's the other thing that I don't really like. The wheel that I picture to like work really well in this is like a mid-70s like Chevelle wheel, but one of the non-power steering ones, so it's a little bit bigger diameter wheel. One of the teakwood ones, I feel like that would fit really nicely in this car. But next rendition, maybe when I do the stick with the big block, that'll be the final product that we do on it. But as for the car itself, like I said, it is just a nice, clean example of a 1991 Caprice inside. Outside of it, I've done a couple of exterior modifications. The wheels are actually off of a Impala. You got to do it. I did not do Impala center caps though, because I'm trying to keep this car as far away from an Impala as I possibly can. So the only Impala badge that is left on it is the one on the deck lid, and I just didn't have time to change it, and I had painted it and had actually lost the old one, and then I'd found the old one. So I do have the Caprice emblem, or the 90s just bow tie, but I think I'm going to go back to the 80s Caprice emblem when I get it painted, because I feel like it looks classier, and having that Caprice emblem just looks a lot nicer. So that's what I'll probably do on the trunk lock emblem. But we do have the dark maple red exterior, and I think I'm going to keep it some form of that dark maple red base, and I'm going to do some stripes. And I want to do the Chevelle stripes. I feel like that would look really cool, but it's got to be done classy. It can't be done trashy, or it's going to just look like everything else that everyone else does out there. And that's what I'm trying to keep it away from. But as for the numbers on this car, like I said, we're just jumping around some of my notes here. Between 1991 and 1996, they made 689,257 of these cars. It's a lot of bodies. 689,257. Obviously, that is including the Impalas. So a chunk of those comes out to those special cars. But as for my car, I have two sets of 1994 6303 OEM quarter windows in this car. So I do not have the ugly pointy window that comes in 1991. So I kept the fender skirt, I kept the small mirrors that you have, but I did not keep that ugly mirror or that ugly window, because that is what makes this car really, really freaking ugly. That I don't really like it. But as for everything else that I've changed externally on the car, we have an Impala Grille, but that just is a bow tie, so it just cleans it up. And what is unique about this car also is it does not have a hood ornament. It has, or like the little standy up one, this one has like a hood tag. So LTZs only got this tag, which is kind of unique, I guess. So if you have garbage and are caring about preserving garbage, you can preserve garbage with me. But I've done the Impala deck lid. We've done that, like I said, those 94 only windows. So those came out of only the 6,303 Impalas that were in 94. So I have two sets of them. I broke one set, so I only have one right good one, and I have a bad left one, but I have the frame still. But yeah, so I have two sets of those when I did that. So I had those professionally installed, but I do want to get everything tinted in here soon. And I did the taillights, because 91 and 92 have these ugly bulbous taillights that I don't know what GM was thinking when they made them, but it's like, ugh, just not nice. And then the rounded off, I understand why people thought it looked like an upside down bathtub or a beached whale. It just was not a very aesthetically pleasing car when it came out in 1991. So I've done the things that I think GM should have done to this car to make it look like it's presentable and like it was on par with what the Impala was, and then the Impala kind of made it that little bit meaner thing. But this car is kind of like a 1991 Caprice SS is what I'm going for. So I've ordered some new floor mats that say Caprice SS, and when I get it painted, I'm actually going to do Caprice SS on the side, just like. And I believe actually in the Middle East, the cars that went to like Iraq and stuff like that, they were actually made from General Motors to say Caprice SS, but they never had the Impala badging in the Middle East market. So some kind of weird things that they did in the 90s there. As for the LTZ package, like I said, this car had the Twilight Sentinel, so my headlights go on and off and stay on after I turn the car off for a little bit. You can set that from like 10 seconds to like 2 minutes. It's kind of a cool feature for 1991. It's unique. It also has auto on and off headlights, so when it's daytime and nighttime, it'll auto turn the headlights on and off. It has the compass in the mirror, as I said, and that really cool dash package. But we're sitting in this car, and as I said, it's 90 degrees out here in Southern California. I think it's 90. Let's take a look here. Hey, everybody. Good news. NASCAR is welcoming limited number of fans back to racetracks. So we can go back to watching NASCAR at tracks. That is awesome. I'm putting this episode out today, just so that news is out there. That's so freaking cool. I'm so happy that life is starting to go back to kind of some form of normal. We were just checking the temperature here though. So here in Long Beach, California right now, it is 93 degrees. 93. That is ridiculous. So we're sitting inside the Caprice right now though, and it is, I'm comfortable. I'm very comfortable. It's obviously we're in the shade, so it's able to keep up with itself a little bit at the idle, but car's not overheating. It's behaving well. I fixed the heater core while I fixed the air conditioning on this car, so we crawled up underneath there and we changed a couple of things. I also had to rebuild the steering column. What a nightmare that was. I think I have a couple pictures. I'll put them up in the corner here as we do this, but yeah, just kind of a really cool car. I'm gonna go drive over to a spot over here. Hopefully we won't get yelled at, and we'll do the external of the car, and then we'll call this an episode. And I think I'm gonna try to do 2 episodes this week, guys. 2 additional episodes. I might try to do the sheep, squeeze the sheep into an episode this week, and maybe do I don't know, what do you want to see? If you guys are watching these and watching me babble on this stuff, let me know if you want to see like the XLR, the SSR, a C5 Corvette, C1 Corvette, or not a C1 Corvette, a C4 Corvette. I'd love a C1 Corvette. Sorry about that, guys. I'd love a C1 Corvette. But no, I have a C4 Corvette, a 91 Corvette. So ironically the same year as this car. So if you want to see the $32,000 of what GM gave you, we can do that also. Kind of fun. But I'm going to go ahead and shut up here, guys. We're going to go ahead and move the car to a cool spot where I can get where we're at, and I'll explain where we're at a little bit. And we'll get some nice outside views of the car, and we're going to wrap this episode up. All right? I'll talk to you in a second. All right, guys. So here we are in Long Beach. So, like I said, in this series, I'm just kind of do some cool stuff and show you some cool places here that we get to have here in Southern California at our disposal. So I'm going to turn the camera this way, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it a little flippy here. All right, guys. So I have the camera flipped now, but here we are at the beautiful Queen Mary, and there is my beautiful 1991 Caprice Classic. I'm sorry for the wind, it's a little bit loud. But the cool thing that I love about this place is that big dome right there. So one of my favorite airplanes of all time actually lived in that big dome for a really long time, up until about the mid-80s. And then they moved it up into, I think it's in Washington. It's on the Oregon-Washington border. But that's where the Howard Hughes HK1 used to be, so the Hercules. So that was the Spruce Goose, as everyone kind of nicknamed it. But the plane was entirely made out of wood. It had Pratt & Whitney radial engines, just a really, really cool kind of building. And it was owned by Disney up until recently. But back to the car anyways. Here it is. Like I said, I put the Impala wheels on it. I've put the Impala Grille. We put Impala quarters, those Impala quarter windows over here. And my paint job wasn't the best. I did this couple. All right, guys. So here we are. This is the outside of my 1991 Caprice Classic LTZ. We're starting with the bad side, just because we're parked on the side of the road. But here we are. We're in Long Beach, like I said. There's the Queen Mary and the big white dome. That is actually where the HK1 used to live, the Hercules. Really cool airplane, actually. It was designed by Howard Hughes, entirely made of wood. Actually, I think it was HK4, not HK1. HK1, I believe, is the actual Hercules. But yeah, Howard Hughes designed the aircraft entirely out of wood. But it lived in that building up until the mid-80s, and then it was moved up to Washington. I believe it's at the Evergreen. I think it's called the Evergreen Space Museum, Air and Space Museum. But yeah, it lives up there now, and there's the Queen Mary in all of its glory, and here we are in beautiful Long Beach Harbor. So the 2020 Grand Prix of Long Beach was supposed to be over there, but it never happened. So good job, coronavirus. So yeah. Here we are, though. It's a beautiful day in Southern California. Like I said, it's 93 degrees out here, and we're cruising the Caprice. So yeah, let's get a little closer to this thing, and I'll give you guys a little tour around it. So yeah, like I said, here's my Impala badging, or D Impala wheel badging. Sorry about that. My D Impala badged wheels that I've actually gone to, like, I think they're Monte Carlo out of like the 2000s cars. I believe it's the same hubcap, so that's what I've done there. And the Camaro Hubcap actually is the same hubcap, believe it or not. So this is the side that has the damage, though, as you can see. Somebody in Mexico, again, rough Mexico life. But it needs some paint. And there's that hood badge thing that I was telling you guys about earlier. It's not really a hood emblem, and that's factory. It's kind of a unique kind of thing that I've only seen on LTZs. But there's that Impala Grille, and I only duplicolor painted that, guys. That's not any kind of special paint or anything. Here's the other side. This is the good side, I always like to say. We'll back up here. Looks like we run a nice small street. No one's ever here. But yeah, there's the car. Like I said, it has this really cool line that the later ones don't have, because you lose that fender skirt. But it looks really good with that quarter window that I have now taken away. That ugly point that is on there. And like I said, that's a 94 Impala only window there. And as we get closer, show you the trunk here. So, as I was telling you, there's the keeper there. He's the Porygon board. He always does what he does. But as I said, this is the only Impala badge I have left on the car, right here. I got to change it. I will change it eventually, and like I said, I want to do the badges that I have here. So in like the mid '80s, the Caprices had that as the trunk badge also. So I think I'm going to go to that. There's no difference. The trunk needs to be rebuilt, keyed anyways. But yeah, as for the car, it's not the cleanest, but it's not the worst by any means. This was, like I said, my duplicolor paint job that I did a couple of years ago, and there's my Impala. And I know they're Impala because they're painted. So Caprices, they weren't painted. The outside bezel wasn't painted, and obviously someone could have painted them, but I got all the parts off of the same car. So the wheels, the tail lights, the back deck lid, the front grille, all that came off of that, and the first set of windows came off of that car too. So but as for the car itself, it's actually not a bad looking car. I'll post a couple of the pictures I have of it here, and then I take of it here now. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up, guys, and actually, I'm not going to wrap this episode up quite yet. What I'll do is I'll pop the hood for you guys and show you guys what's going on under there, because I haven't done that yet. So, and on these cars, guys, that are really goofy, the hood latch is off to the right. It's not in the middle. It's right there. So, there we are, that beautiful 305 cranking out 170 horsepower. And let me tell you, it is stock under here. Just like I said, I haven't touched it. Eventually it'll get that 396, and hopefully it fits. I think it will. I don't see why it wouldn't. The car's pretty big actually under there. Exhaust might not fit, but 396 should fit. We'll figure out the exhaust issue later. I could always do it like they do on the dragsters and blow it out the side here. That was my other thought process on that. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't know. This car has a couple of ideas that I've been kicking around with it for it. So I'm never getting rid of it, because like I said, it was my aunt's car and my grandfather's car. So it's just sentimental value. It has absolutely no monetary value really whatsoever. I mean, somebody might think it's worth something. I mean, put it down in the comments. What do you think it's worth? Like I said, I drive trash. I love trash. This 90s stuff, I love it. It's infuriating, but at least you can track it back to something. This newer stuff, you just need too many computers and too much stuff to try to diagnose just something little that I'm not trying to deal with. That's not, I deal with computers every day. I don't need to deal with more computers. So this is like the most computers I like to deal with in my cars, but this is my beautiful 1991 Caprice, guys. So, like I said, comment, like, subscribe. If you enjoy what you're seeing, I'll keep doing this lovely videos on my trash. I definitely think I'm going to do my next episode on the sheep. It just seems like the right thing to do. So the sheep's going to be my next episode, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk to you guys soon. All right, bye.